bright shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing God's praise than we first begun.
When I picked up this bulletin, or this piece about Miss Hazel's life, I noticed the day she was born, the year she was born. She was only 2 years older than my mother. And I leaned over to Terry and I said, I could have been Cindy's brother. Because Hazel could have been my mama. What a wonderful, wonderful lady she was. And those of us who had the pleasure and the privilege of knowing her, how our lives were blessed. When you have known a person and have had a friend like Hazel Allen, you know your life has been truly blessed. And that's what I want to say. I don't remember the first time I hugged her neck or shook her hand, or I probably do remember the first time I saw Vivian, but don't remember the first time I saw Hazel. But what a blessing she was. I cannot count high enough to count all the Friday evenings that we would spend over there at their home, and then on Sundays for after church lunch. Just so many, many good memories. I remember this week that 2 years ago from today, or 2 years ago this Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, we buried Vivian from this place, and that's a memory too. Hazel and Vivian Allen are two of the main reasons our youth program in this church was prosperous and effective. They were always at Terry Thomas's side, and whatever Terry wanted to do, they may have had to calm him down a little bit with his enthusiasm, but there was nothing that Terry did that wasn't for the good of our young people and wasn't for the good of this church. And I want to say that if it hadn't been for Hazel and Vivian, the things we were able to accomplish probably wouldn't have been done so well. We just had fun. We did. We had fun. Church was fun to come to, even on Sunday nights. It was fun to come to because we were with God's people and we were enjoying one another and we were having a good time. Now Hazel, she was not an auspicious person. She lived her life in a modest kind of way. Her faith was sincere, and it was simple, and it was uncomplicated. And that's the way it ought to be. She loved the Lord, but she didn't go around trying to impress anybody with how much she loved the Lord. She just lived it and made a difference with her life. I looked over at that table where those 7, is it 6 or 7? I looked over there and I said, all of them are Hazel's great-grandkids. Goodness gracious. That's hard to believe. What I want to talk about today is the reason that we're all here. We're here, yes, because we want to show our love and respect for Hazel Allen. And we want to say, as we've shared our stories and as we'll go to the cemetery and we'll continue to share our stories about this wonderful lady. But I want to talk about the time that we have here. I want to talk about the reason that we're here, and that is we're here because God loves us. That's why we're here. And it's God's love that brings us here. It's God's love that'll take us from this place. It's God's love that will always be the strength and the power of our lives. Paul said in his letter to the Corinthians, the 13th chapter, he says, "For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know fully, just as I also have been fully known." One of the things about being a human being is that if you live your life in isolation, you carry all your burdens, you carry all your secrets, you carry all your thoughts within yourself, and that's a heavy load. That's a heavy load to have to carry. In the book of Genesis, the only time God said something wasn't good, you remember the first chapter, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's very good, all the creation. But in the second chapter, when Adam was alone in the garden, God said, "It's not good for a man or a person to live alone." We want somebody to know us. We want to know other people. The greatest power that allows us to be known and to know others is the love of God. Now, if any person, whether in this congregation today or any person in the world, has come to know God through faith in Jesus Christ, it's not because that person woke up one day and said, "I'm going to put my faith in God today," as if, falling off the front porch or something. A person comes to know God because God first came to know them. No human being comes in faith to God unless God has drawn them into that faith relationship. That's why it is such a solid relationship, a relationship upon which a person can build their life. In the last year of Jesus' earthly ministry, he took his disciples on what I want to call a week retreat. They were tired. They'd been working hard. Jesus healing a lot of people and preaching and teaching. He took his disciples off by themselves about 30 to 35 miles north of the Sea of Galilee in the region of Caesarea Philippi. And I think, they just sat around talking, and he asked them questions about the faith and about who they understood this or that to be. But then he asked them this question: Who do people say that I am? And they said, "Oh, some say you're Elijah come back to life. Some say you're John the